When Earth Command first assigned me to the planet Aurelia, they told me the mission would be simple. Diplomacy. That was the official word. But in reality, diplomacy between humans and alien empires was never simple. My name is Daniel Carter, a diplomatic envoy for the United Earth Coalition. My job was to travel to distant civilizations, negotiate agreements, solve conflicts, and make sure humanity didn't accidentally start an interstellar war. Aurelia was home to the Valari Empire, one of the most powerful civilizations humanity had ever encountered. Their ruler was known across the galaxy as the Empress Seraphine. She was feared, respected, and according to every report, impossible to negotiate with. 3 previous diplomatic teams had failed. 2 were sent home. 1 never returned. So when Command called me into the briefing room, I already knew this mission would not be easy. The holographic projection of Aurelia rotated slowly in the air, an ocean world dotted with golden continents and glowing cities. Commander Hayes folded his arms.
"Carter," he said.
The Valari Empire is facing a crisis. Their planetary energy core is collapsing. If it fails, their capital city could be destroyed. And they asked for help from humans? I asked. That's the strange part, he replied. They didn't ask. I frowned. Then why are we going? Hayes gave a thin smile. Because we're the only ones who can fix it. 2. The first meeting. Aurelia was the most beautiful planet I had ever seen. Massive floating cities hovered above oceans of shimmering blue. Silver towers stretched into the clouds. Strange winged creatures glided through the sky like living ships. But none of that compared to the moment I met Empress Seraphine. The Valari throne chamber was enormous, carved from white crystal and illuminated by soft violet light. At the far end of the hall stood the throne, and seated upon it was the Empress. She looked almost human, but not quite. Her skin shimmered like moonlight. Her long silver hair flowed down her shoulders like liquid starlight. Her eyes glowed faintly violet, filled with intelligence and power. 2 tall guards stood beside her, their armor glowing with alien technology. As I approached the throne, I felt every pair of eyes in the chamber watching me. The Empress spoke first. Her voice was calm, elegant, and terrifyingly confident. You are the human envoy. I nodded slightly. Daniel Carter, United Earth Coalition. She studied me for a long moment. Your species is young. Compared to yours, I said, everyone is young. A few Valari nobles whispered among themselves. But the Empress smiled. Just slightly. Your engineers claim they can repair our planetary core. They can, I replied. And what does humanity demand in return? Nothing. The room fell silent. The Empress leaned forward. Nothing. Just cooperation, I said. And peace. Her glowing eyes narrowed thoughtfully. For the first time, I saw curiosity in her expression. Very well, human, she said. You may begin your mission. 3. The impossible repair. The Valari core was buried deep beneath the capital city. It powered the planet's defenses, atmosphere regulators, and the floating cities themselves. Without it, Aurelia would collapse into chaos. When I first saw the core, I understood why the Valari engineers were struggling. The machine was enormous, miles wide and filled with ancient alien technology. Energy arcs crackled across massive rings of glowing metal. Gravity distortions warped the air. Even my team of human engineers looked overwhelmed. One of them, Dr. Malik, muttered quietly, This thing is older than our civilization. How long do we have? I asked. Maybe 10 days before the core overloads. 10 days to repair alien technology older than human history. No pressure. For the next week, we worked non-stop. We studied Valari blueprints, decoded alien energy systems, and built new stabilizers using a mix of human and Volari tech. And during those days, the Empress visited. Often. At first, she simply observed our progress from a distance. But eventually, she started asking questions. "Why risk your lives for another species?" she asked me once. "Because it's the right thing to do," I replied. She tilted her head slightly. "That is not a strategic answer. It's a human one." For some reason, that seemed to interest her even more. 4. The night of the collapse. On the 9th day, everything went wrong. The core began destabilizing faster than expected. Energy spikes surged through the chamber. The massive ring started spinning wildly. Dr. Malik shouted over the alarms. "The containment field is failing." I looked at the control panel. "If we shut down the core, the city falls from the sky." "And if we don't?" he asked. "The core explodes. Millions of lives at risk." I made a decision. Reroute the stabilizers to the central reactor. "That'll overload the system," Malik protested. "I know, but someone will have to manually activate the regulator."
Exactly.
And that meant someone had to go into the reactor chamber, where the radiation could kill a human in minutes. I grabbed the emergency suit. Malik stared at me. "You're not seriously. Someone has to do it." Before anyone could stop me, I stepped into the reactor tunnel. 5. The Empress's choice. The reactor chamber was chaos. Energy storms ripped through the air. The core glowed like a miniature star. My suit alarm screamed as radiation levels rose. But I reached the regulator. Just one lever. One switch. If it worked, the core would stabilize. If it didn't,
well,
I pushed the lever. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the massive ring slowed. The energy storms faded, and the core stabilized. The Volari core was saved, but my suit had taken too much damage. Radiation flooded the chamber. My vision blurred as the alarms faded. The last thing I saw before collapsing was someone running toward me. 6. Recovery. When I woke up, I expected to be dead. Instead, I was lying in a quiet chamber filled with soft golden light. A figure sat beside the bed. The Empress. She looked different now. Less distant. Almost concerned. "You survived," she said softly. "Barely," I replied. "How long was I out?" 3 days. 3 days? I sat up slowly. "The core is stable," she said. "Your mission succeeded." Relief washed over me. Then I smiled.
Good.
"Then I guess it's time for me to head home." The Empress didn't respond. She simply watched me, and after a long silence, she said something unexpected.
"No, 7.
The refusal. I blinked. "No. You cannot leave, Aurelia." I laughed awkwardly. "Pretty sure that's not your decision." Her expression remained calm. "It is." I frowned. "My mission is done." "And yet," she replied, "I refuse to let you go." The room felt suddenly smaller. "Why?" I asked. For the first time since I met her, the Empress hesitated. "You saved my people. That was the plan. You risked your life for a species not your own. That's called being decent." She stood slowly and walked toward the window overlooking the glowing city. "My empire has existed for 10,000 years, she said quietly. "In that time, I have seen countless civilizations rise and fall." She turned back toward me, but never one like humanity. I crossed my arms. "So, you're keeping me here as a research project?" Her lips curved slightly. "No, then what?" She stepped closer. Close enough that I could see the faint starlight patterns in her eyes. "Because I do not wish to lose you." 8. The truth. At first, I thought she was joking. Alien emperors didn't get emotionally attached to human diplomats. But her expression told me she was serious. "You barely know me," I said. I know enough. And what exactly do you think you know?
That you are brave, she said.
That you value life more than power. That you chose sacrifice over glory. Her voice softened slightly. And that you treated me not as an empress, but as a person. No one in the chamber spoke. Even the guards seemed unsure how to react. I rubbed the back of my neck awkwardly. This is unexpected. The Empress gave a faint smile. Agreed. 9. The decision the next morning. My ship was ready to depart. Human Command had already sent messages congratulating us. The Volari engineers had repaired the docking port. Everything was prepared, except one thing. The Empress stood at the landing platform as I approached my ship. Wind carried her silver hair across her shoulders as the sun rose over Aurelia's oceans. You are leaving, she said. I should. But, I sighed. But I'm guessing you're going to stop me. She shook her head. No. Then why are you here? She looked out across the sky. Because if you leave, I will respect your choice. That surprised me. But if you stay, she turned to face me again. You will not be a prisoner. Then what would I be? For the first time, the Empress Seraphine smiled fully. My equal. 10. The ending. I looked at my ship, then at the endless sky of Aurelia, then back at the Empress. When I first came here, I expected a short mission. Fix the core. Sign a treaty. Go home. But things had changed. Humanity and the Volari Empire had formed something stronger than an alliance. Trust. And maybe something more. I stepped away from the ship. The Empress's eyes widened slightly. You're staying? She asked. For now, I said. Her smile returned. And as the twin suns of Aurelia rose over the horizon, I realized something strange. My mission had ended, but my story here had only just begun.